Today, we're going on a short, sweet, and surreal time-shifting adventure. Released in 2013, developed and published by Aussie studio, the Voxel Agents, The Gardens Between is a simple indie puzzle game. Among the many, many indie puzzlers out there, I think this one is worth a look. It's not going to blow your mind, but that's okay. Sometimes it's nice just to chill out with a pretty game. The Gardens Between has two main draws. Its crisp, colourful visuals and time-scrubbing puzzles. Per usual, we'll cover presentation, then gameplay. As far as presentation goes, the visuals do the heavy lifting in this game. Its colour palette floats between muted autumn and jewel tones. Character and world animation is smooth, and effects are simple but striking. Among the visual elements, the levels themselves are the standout stars. They're surreal islands or floating gardens, strewn with monuments and objects from the real world that add to the flavour of each level and also impact gameplay. Sound is just alright. I would have liked a few more effects to sell the movement and the weight of the characters in the world. Like, for example, when you place your lantern down, there's almost no sonic feedback. A satisfying click or a chunky sound would have been good. Music is unobtrusive, but also not memorable. It fits the tone of the game, being flighty, sparse piano with a strong ambient bass, but there's nothing here that you're going to fall in love with. Story is a hard part of the presentation to judge. The game tells a story of two young people who live next to each other and develop or consolidate a friendship throughout adventure and play. There's no dialogue, no text, just small vignettes or scenes shown at the end of each level. The story is open or vague, and it seems more concerned with capturing a feeling than talking about an interesting or specific event in these two characters' lives. That might work for some people, but it didn't quite resonate for me. I would have liked more characterisation, a touch of drama or conflict, or just something to give me a reason to care or more identify with these characters and their journey. Although the narrative is lacking, the game is beautiful and the gameplay journey is worthwhile. Let's do gameplay now. Despite appearances, The Gardens Between is not actually a puzzle platformer. It's just a puzzler. In gameplay, you don't have any control over the movement of two characters. Instead, you control by scrolling time forward and backwards and deciding when characters will interact with objects that they line up with. Level designer Simon Joslin says this game is more about controlling an overall scene, more like a diorama. Your ability to interact with the world is limited to chiming bells that shift elements in the world and picking up or carrying a lantern that holds a beacon of light. The beacon or the orbs are your keys to unlocking gates, clearing fog, and completing each level, so the puzzles often revolve around collecting them or moving them throughout a level. Although it starts a little bit sedately, and it feels a touch uninspired at the start, the puzzles do become quite engaging and sometimes quite challenging. Solving puzzles involves a bit of observation, lateral thinking, and trial and error. There's a few parts with head-scratching solutions, often because they're unintuitive, one-off mechanics that will frustrate you. But more often than not, there's clever use of the time-shifting mechanic, and inventive and enjoyable answers to be found in these creative and well-presented levels. My main criticism of the gameplay is that the time scrolling and the subsequent character movement is slow. Having to rewind and fast forward is frequent, so the sluggish speed can drag out the actual puzzle solving. Overall, I made it through the whole game in about 2 hours at a steady pace. There's no additional challenges or much in the way of replay value, in case you were wondering. Another small criticism of the gameplay I have is that there's not a lot that actually distinguishes the two main characters in this game. Much in the same way that the narrative is vague, the gameplay is kind of vague as well. Each character is bound to being able to interact with one or two specific objects, but there's nothing apart from their animation and their visual identity that really distinguishes them in terms of how you play the game. To conclude, The Gardens Between is a dreamy looking game with worthwhile gameplay, but so-so sound and story. In our reviews, I don't give scores or tell everyone to buy or play a particular game. Here are my qualified recommendations for The Gardens Between. If you like indie puzzle games like Fez or Monument Valley, I recommend The Gardens Between. The puzzles and the presentation are up to that standard, and a playthrough will be rewarding in the same way. If you like story-driven, atmospheric 2D adventure games like Limbo or Little Nightmares, I don't recommend The Gardens Between. It definitely looks good, but there's not a worthwhile narrative or memorable characters or set pieces to justify your time with this game. If you like indie puzzle platformers like Braid, Celeste, or Thomas Was Alone, I'll give a soft recommendation to The Gardens Between. The story definitely isn't up to scratch compared with those heavy hitters, and it lacks solid platforming, but the presentation and the puzzles make it worth a visit. That's all for today. Just a short and sweet episode on a short and sweet game. Thanks for listening, and take care.